Hello, everybody. This is Josh from Blue Collar Realist. Um, Tonight, I want to talk about our rights, our infringement, how people feel that a lot of things are being repressed upon us with our rights. I would love to have people's opinion and jump in on this conversation with me. If you like, you can join in a video chat. I am recording people's voices here for pre-later recording. So right now, Mike Landcross wants to jump in on this, or somebody wants to jump in. But again, this is about our rights and what we have to deal with in our current situation here. A lot of people feel like they're being repressed and held back against for what our country was formed on. I would like people to actually just join in. It's a lot easier if I have somebody to talk to over this discussion. I have a lot of points that I would like to make myself, and I would like other people to feel free to share their opinion on it. The main ones now are definitely gun rights and how a lot of people are pushing the issue. Now, personally, I think that it's definitely a touchy subject for a lot of people, left, right, middle ground, wherever you stand. I am definitely for having them for our protection because I believe that we need to protect our own one way or another. And a lot of people don't think we need them. But it was formed not for people to use against each other. This Our Second Amendment was given to us to protect ourselves from foreign governments and our own government. Now, when it comes to the debate of the AR-15 and whatnot, that's going to come into play with this. Is you know, people bring up the point on that when this was formed, that everybody had muskets. I get that. I understand that. Now, with time, things change. Our government now has M16s. An AR-15 is nothing but the civilian version of this. Now, I believe that we need to have the technology to equal our government, or at least compare to our government. Hence why I think that AR-15s are possibly necessary in this situation. This is a modern form of a musket to go against our government. If you disagree, please feel free to share with me on this. Now, again, going back to our rights, a lot of people feel that our First Amendment is being repressed. It's being pushed against by a lot of people thinking that they're not being able to speak their minds. It's proven this weekend that a lot of people are able to speak their minds and do what they feel like they want to do. And I'm all about that. We need more people to stand up for what they believe in, including myself. Now, anybody want to share any information, feel free to text it on there because I'd love to have somebody to actually debate with me on this. Now, there's more than just those two amendments that we have in our Bill of Rights. Why those two are the most focused right now is beyond me, but we definitely need some more people to kind of stand up for either side. And I wanted to make sure that everybody here can actually do this on a clean slate in an open way. Now, waiting for my buddy Scott to jump in. He wants to join in and talk to me with this about this and have his debate as well. Now, he feels that, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he feels that Trump supporters are horrible people. It's a very vague line. You cannot People that support one individual for what they're doing doesn't make them a bad person at all, not in the least bit. Because I side with Trump on a lot of stuff, but I disagree with a lot of things that he does. He's just a modern day, excuse my language, asshole. He's not afraid to say what he says, but the dude definitely needs to stay the fuck off Twitter. Excuse my language.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, Mike? How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
What are you outside?
Yeah. For a butt.
10-4. I don't know if you caught the caption of what I'm actually trying to do here. Heard the beginning of this.
I did.
Yeah. So I figured I'd try and bring you in, see what your opinion is on the whole matter.
Well, I own guns.
Oh, of course.
And I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Right. Agreed, 100%. I mean, it's just standard law. It's like having a condom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I got a question for you.
Okay.
What is your biggest fear on either side? Either having our rights of free speech or our rights of bearing arms? What are your biggest fears on this?
Well, rights of free speech is you can have free speech as long as it doesn't offend somebody.
To a degree, yes. I mean, the only problem with me with free speech is that you're going to offend somebody at some point in time, regardless of what you have to say. So, I mean, being offensive is kind of a broad line. I mean, people are going to get butthurt regardless of what you say about anything.
Oh, definitely.
But I personally don't think that it's a major issue for a lot of people because, as you can see, you saw what happened this weekend. There was plenty of people out there expressing their rights in their free speech.
Yeah, but when if they start taking away people's guns and whatnot, what's next? Freedom of speech?
Well, see, that's the kind of a valid point that I wanted to make is that one group of people could try and take away one right while they're exercising another. So what if the tables turned? What if we took that right away from them? How would they feel about the scenario?
Oh, they'd cry about it.
Exactly. Well, and the sad part is I don't really hear too many gun owners crying so much. Yeah, I love my clock too. It's actually I used to have one. Unfortunately, I don't have any right now. But that's the thing is a lot of people aren't looking at the bigger picture here. They're pushing their right of free speech, right to assembly, to try and take away the rights of another right that other people want to stand up for.
What people are having a hard time understanding is you take away rights, it only affects the law-abiding citizens, not the criminals.
Right. It most certainly does affect the criminals. Well, it affects us because I mean I explained this to somebody earlier that it's an obvious thing. You can look at other countries that have taken the civilians' gun rights away, and the criminals capitalize.
Right.
You can look at the major cities in the United States that have the most strictest gun laws. They have the highest crime rates. I mean, I could pull up the statistics of it now, but I mean, it's obvious. You look at New Hampshire, where we're both from. It has one of the loosest gun laws in the United States. I think it's third in the country for the loosest gun laws, and it's second in the least crime rate in the United States. I mean, it's the unfortunate fact that people forget to do their research before they side with one thing is kind of the issue. I don't know if you agree.
No,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you agree or disagree on that, but it's to me that's kind of the issue here. Is a lot of people want to side with one thing. I don't. It's kind of hard to say whether they're followers or not. But
a lot of people don't do their research before they start running at the mouth.
Right. Exactly. I'm kind of going off of my own personal beliefs. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of things to kind of back my side up on this situation. But I want to know why people feel the way they feel. Like why do you feel the way you feel on this whole matter?
I've had guns for years. I know a lot about guns. I even work for Green Mountain Rifle Barrel. And, I know and respect guns. I know the gun laws and everything else. And me personally, I'd rather own one.
Right. Well, it's not only for protection, but I mean, me personally, I think that it's for the way of life for a lot of people.
Right. I enjoy shooting.
I mean, one second, real quick. I do agree. A lot of people, the other side doesn't want to listen, and that's the whole point of this. Is that I want both sides to speak their mind. The other side doesn't want to listen, and I want the other side to hear us out, and I want both sides to kind of share their opinion on this. I'm just reading off the comments that are here, because I want to try and bring everybody on board on this. But what's your feeling on raising the gun rights to being able to own a gun to 21?
I'm okay with that.
I mean, I don't disagree with it. Now, for me, I think it depends on the type of firearm. Because if me, we were hunting when we were kids.
Yeah.
and you got to have a firearm for that. And now, when it comes to, I guess you could label it as a tactical firearm, yes, I agree that raising the age to 21 is a logical standpoint. Because I don't know about you, but I was still pretty damn stupid when I was 18.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but I'm sure we remember what was going on at that point in time. Now,
Oh yeah.
but being able to raising that up to 21 is, I completely agree with certain firearms. Now, demographically, for most areas, especially in the Northeast, a lot of people survive by hunting each year. So don't label all firearms to 21, but certain ones I would definitely raise that to, especially like AR-15s or tactical handguns, stuff like that, to 21. I mean, that's my
Right.
personal opinion.
I'm definitely down for more extensive background searches and stuff like that. But
Oh, of course. I mean, background check. No, here's the messed up thing: is it literally took me less time to get my AR-15 through the ATF than it did for me to get my handgun. I had to wait 3 hours to get my handgun. It was 10 minutes. I got my AR-15.
wow.
So I mean, I don't have a bad background, so I could understand that. But now, when it comes to handguns, you have to go through ATF and you have to go through local and state checks. AR-15, when you buy an assault rifle, or at least what's labeled as an assault rifle, you only have to go through the ATF. So that's two less steps that you have to take to actually acquire it. At least that's how it was in New Hampshire when I got mine. Now, do I think that it should be more steps in getting something of that nature? Yes, most certainly. And yes, Scotty, I agree. Not everyone should own a gun.
Well, I completely agree with Scotty too, but as you know, one of my exes also thought I shouldn't own a gun
Well, yeah, but
because of my temper, and I've had a gun for. I started buying them at least 10 years ago.
yeah.
I like my guns too much and to mess it up.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Just a temper shouldn't really revolve around whether you can own a firearm or not. Some of the most respected people that I know that own firearms.
So that was just her opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm just going off of what I've noticed. I mean, I have a friggin' temper.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure a lot of people here knows this, but it's, and I respect firearms. I've been able to handle them. I've been able to show people how to use them properly. Just because I have a temper doesn't mean I'm going to go flying off the handle and take somebody's life, because I respect other people's lives. I may not respect other people, but I respect their lives. There's a big difference. Matt, did you get your Glock in Maine or New Hampshire for it to only take 30 minutes?
Usually, anytime I buy any sort of firearm, it takes me less than an hour.
Less than an hour. Well, I mean, it was the first time I ever actually bought a handgun. So, I mean, I don't know what it was like for the first time you got it, but yeah. See, that's where I got my AR-15 and my handgun was at White Mountain. It didn't take me. It for some reason it took me longer. Maybe I don't know what was going on with it, but literally I went in, paid for my AR-15. They made a phone call. 15 minutes later, I was looking at scopes, and they're like, "Okay, you can take it home." It took a little bit longer for my handgun, but it's all right. They just got a couple extra purchases out of me at that point in time. But I mean, honestly, do you think that this may progress into a situation where they would take our firearms from us?
I don't think it will. It could. I don't think it will though.
Right. Now, what about limiting your access to them?
It might happen.
Now,
I don't think it'd be a good idea to limit.
No,
Through personal sales, you can buy them either way.
Right. Now, see, that's another strong point that I would like to kind of touch bases on too, is that the restriction of personal firearm sales. What's your thought on that?
Yeah.
Now, I give you my input, my personal preference on that. Um, with me, because there's really no regulation whatsoever on personal sales. Very,
Right.
very few. Now, if I think that's one major restriction that needs to be addressed is personal firearm sales.
They could either do it legally through like a gun dealer,
See, that's what I was
or
thinking is that you'd have to do it
or
through a gun.
have the bill of sale with them.
Yes, yes. Because
Because I had one of my exes bought a handgun. She didn't like it because it had no safety. So I bought her a new one, and I have her old one. And
okay,
I made sure her and I both had a bill of sale when we split.
yeah. See, that's the best way to do it. But I mean, that's unfortunately that's the crude, simple solution at this point in time is a bill of sale for you know selling a firearm from person to person. Now, what you stated earlier is something I think should be done properly is going through a licensed dealer. At least having somebody that is licensed to be able to witness the transaction at least and record it. Just going out on the street because when I sold my AR-15, luckily I sold it to a ex-military. He was an ex-marine. I sold it to. He gave me his credentials. I asked for them and everything else because I didn't want to sell it to some Joe Smo on the side of the street that I had no clue who the hell it was. Because I think that somebody that has a weapon of that sort needs to know how to take care of it. So I made sure that it went to the right person, and checking credentials and background in that manner is how I took the step. Yeah, I did it in a friggin' grocery store parking lot. You know what I mean? It was friggin' Swip Swap or like Craigslist for firearms. It was kind of weird, but at least I was able to look at his credentials through he had his military ID, his wife had her military ID, so at least I got two forms of and their driver's license and everything else. I had forms of their that they were good to have it. They also showed me their concealed weapons permits.
Yeah, just like we don't need them anymore in New Hampshire, but I still have mine.
Right, and I personally I'm kind of glad they got rid of that.
Me too.
It was weird because I actually got my concealed weapons carry before I left New Hampshire, and Florida is one of the few states that does not recognize concealed carry from New Hampshire. I think
Wow.
there's don't quote me on this, but I think there's 37 states that recognize New Hampshire's concealed carry permit, and Florida is one of them that does not.
Wow.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. It's not like I wasted any money because I got it for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is the cost now? Is it still $10?
It was last time, but now you don't need it. So.
Yeah, now you don't need it. Yeah, it was only $10. I can't remember what it is here in Florida. I think it's something like $150 or something like that. You have to go through for the processing.
What I think they should do is make everybody take a gun safety class and put it on your license.
Yeah.
For like a motorcycle license.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically another. So it shows that you have the credentials for it to carry it.
Right.
And I think they should actually do that even in New Hampshire. If when you get your license, since you don't have to have a concealed carries permit up there, just put it on the license. I mean, it makes it probably a little bit easier for the officers, just to have it.
Rather than having a permit itself, have it like just a stamp on your license or something.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to kind of bring up in any topic or anything. If anybody from the state's listening here, put it on the license. Why carry two? We're not even supposed to carry any more than one form of identification with us anyway.
Right.
So I mean, it kind of killed two birds with one stone. It's a little less paperwork that the state has to go through, so it save you some money there. There's an idea.
you know, charge a little bit extra and put the money to better use.
Yeah. I mean, put it. Actually, you know what? Put it in the gun safety.
Right.
Take the little bit, charge an extra $10 or something like that to put it on your license, and put that towards like free classes and stuff like that for the states. That's they were so worried about gun safety and gun control. Well, why don't you educate people?
Exactly. Just like everybody saying, "Oh, an AR-15, it's a weapon of war," and the guy that did the shooting at the Army barracks was in the paper the other day.
Oh yeah.
The weapon he used in the shooting was a 22.
Yeah, and did you? He was actually down here in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. He just killed 2 of his inmates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that in my news feed that I have, and I was like, this guy's name sounds familiar, and I couldn't remember what it was, and I looked into it, and it was the same guy that did the shooting in Conway.
Yep.
Yeah, he killed 2 of his inmates. So I mean, obviously that guy's delusional. There's something wrong with him.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
you know, and those are the type of people that need to be watched out for. You know,
I doubt he obtained his firearm legally.
no, probably not. He probably stole it from somebody's house.
So therefore, if they change laws or reinforce laws or whatever, he still got it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is you know, there's no way to keep firearms out of everybody's hands. It's just not possible. You know, it's like trying to take cell phones away from kids.
Exactly.
You know, more kids have been killed this year texting and driving than in any of the shootings in any school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you going to do? Take cell phones away from kids? It's not going to happen.
I honestly think they should.
Oh, yeah, trust me. Don't get me wrong. My daughter has to keep hers off when she comes over here during the weekend because it drives me nuts. I mean, I hate the fact that I'm on mine so much, but a lot of the time I'm actually doing research. That's a sad thing, you know. And if I'm bored, I'll just sit there and scroll through Facebook. But that's probably the major demonized thing nowadays is freaking Facebook. But hey, if I didn't have Facebook, I wouldn't be doing this right now.
Exactly. That's how I keep in touch with old friends.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's kind of it's good and bad, you know. Just kind of. I mean, I guess it's the same thing with same concept as firearms. There's good and bad to each side of the scenario, you know.
Yeah.
But again, it's going back to where we're at before with the whole. I kind of lost track of my point here. Fuck. I hate when that happens.
We're getting old.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. What's going on, Chaz? What's up, Mike? Desiree, how you guys doing tonight? But yeah, it's the whole gun control thing is a little iffy. Now, what's your thoughts on this is an interesting one. A lot of people really hate this one. What's your thoughts of arming people, and I quote, people in schools?
I think if there's a teacher or something willing to do it, they should be able to.
Fair enough.
Like up here, SIG has an academy they can go to.
Yeah. Well, see, now I have this. I share the same thing. Now, it doesn't directly have to be a teacher, in my opinion.
Right.
You know, it's if they want to, as long as they have the right training and credentials to do so, I think it's okay. I think it's a good thing to do. Now,
I agree.
A lot of people have come up with the point that no, I'm not 50, Matt. I'm 34. Thanks. What's going on, Chaz? But people are always whining and complaining about veterans and this, that, and the other thing on TV and stuff like that don't have jobs. I'm sure there's plenty of veterans out there, and I know a few. I'm friends with a few of them that would definitely take that job in protecting people. They're trained to do so.
Right. They're trained. Why not have them school security?
Yeah. I mean, why not? When we were in high school, we had an armed police officer there.
Yep.
We didn't complain about it.
Nope.
You know, so
unless we're doing something
yeah.
bad.
Normally we were, but the only time he ever caught us is
if I was there.
Yeah, well, the only time he ever caught me is when I was behind friggin' the big out or the store across the street.
Cumbies?
Yeah, Cumbies are behind Fire 21.
Yeah,
Yeah, it happened a lot. But he never caught me in the little hide spot that we had behind what was it? Behind the elementary school. Never found our spot there. So And unfortunately, luckily, after we were done with high school, they cut that all down, and that spot was no longer void. But
Right.
uh, yeah, but that is a major point that a lot of people are blowing out of proportion, is that we don't need to arm our teachers. No, we don't need to arm our teachers.
Most people, the way they see it is, if they have a like a rifle, it's going to be locked up. And what if, this, because everybody's like, oh, what if the student gets a hold of the gun? That's why it's concealed.
Yeah.
They don't have to know.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, see, that's a good point too to make, is that the individual at hand that is willing to do this does not have to be named.
Right.
Nobody has to know. Obviously the staff would know, and people of the higher end, but it's not one of those. It's one of those scenarios that it's people need to kind of look at it a little bit more vague, less vague than they do.
Right.
Hold on a second, I gotta read what Chad's saying here. No, I agree 100%. He's saying you won't fix the gun issue until you fix the mental issue plaguing Americans' youth. Determining a killer.
Start that with discipline.
Agreed. Do I say the lack of discipline nowadays is substantial? Most certainly. I mean, kids are eating Tide Pods. Okay, good. Well, I guess Mike's phone must have got jacked up. But yeah, well, see, that's the key thing is education. A lot of people are losing the education that a lot of people were brought up with less than 20 years ago, for crying out loud. Education is definitely key. But anyway, going back to the whole issue at hand, is this whole gun control thing. A lot of people brought up some good points, especially Mike, about concealed permits. Since New Hampshire's one of the major states that doesn't have or has the least gun control in the state, it's very, very few crimes that comes with guns, and the cities that have major gun control have the highest crime rates in the United States. So I kind of think that's would become an issue if a lot of people try to push this issue against gun control. Now, when it comes to teachers, that's really up to them. Now, I think personally, hiring veterans coming into the schools and protecting our kids, definitely a good idea. A lot of people are all about trying to help out our veterans because they don't have work when they come back here. So that's a perfect example for something they can do. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help take care of our kids when they're in school. All right, I've been on here for a little while now. I think I'm gonna call it a night. And if there's anything else that you guys want to add, just feel free to inbox me on my Facebook. But I'm going to be editing this and adding it to our Blue Collar Realist page. Hopefully, there'll be more to come. This is kind of a good test run to see how everything works. All right, guys, you have a good night, and I will talk to you later.